Okay, so I think this is the third year we've done this, talking to Mr. Hollywood today, and we're going, and I'm the movie mystic, of course. We have real names, but it's not important. It's going to be in the description. Who cares? We're talking about our top five films in 2023. We're going to go down the list. I'm very excited. And Mr. Hollywood comes more prepared than I am. He usually has honorable mentions and the worsts and the thises and the that's. I'm slightly more prepared this year, but I'm sure he's going to outdo me again. So Mr. Hollywood, what's your number five film of 2023?
By
Kick
the
it
way,
off.
yeah. By the way, I always get excited to hear what your picks are, but
Thanks.
and I'm always interested to see if there's overlap. I tend to go a little more mainstream,
I love him.
but
Yeah,
my number five, and I think we may have chatted about this offline, but it's
sure.
Anatomy of a Fall. I love.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. It won the Palme d'Or, correct?
Correct. Yes.
At the prestigious Cannes Film Festival.
Yes. Which I'll be at next year.
Oh, for real, in person, like
Yeah,
actual. Wow, that's
not
exciting.
bad.
Yeah, pretty cool.
First
So
time. Very excited.
too bad you weren't there to watch this movie because I did love it. If you haven't seen it, Anatomy of a Fall, it's I don't want to give too many of the plot details away because that was half the fun, kind of
Oh, yeah.
discovering just what the heck is going on. Just know that there's a trial that takes place, a lot of mystery and intrigue, but the way it's put together, and by the way, the first like I think it was like 15 minutes. There's
Uh,
a song that goes on loop, and it's
yeah. The 50 Cent one. Yeah.
I was just on the edge of my seat, and it was a very unique viewing experience, and the way everything plays out in the performances, chef's kiss for Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh, I think that's a great pick, and I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. And I think you're definitely right to point out how it evolves and what that title means is really how it's kind of baked in is really interesting, and it's definitely it's like 2.5 hours, so it's a bit of a commitment, but I would definitely suggest people go for it. And it's European, however, most of it's in English.
That's right. Yeah, I was actually going to mention that they actually do this really interesting thing where they play with the languages. It actually becomes part of the, one of the characters doesn't speak French, and but it's they play with those languages. Actually becomes an interesting part to the movie itself.
It's like it's not necessarily plot armor. It's like, hey, you speak French and I speak German,
Yeah.
but everybody speaks English, and it works for guys like you and me. So my number five is a film called Ride On with Jackie Chan. Yeah, and I really
Yes.
enjoyed this film because it is like last year we had The Fablemans, sort of Steven Spielberg nostalgia, which I really enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed seeing that at TIFF, and then Mr. Spielberg came out afterwards. And then but this is like Jackie Chan's legacy movie. It's if Rush Hour 4 doesn't happen, let's say like he dies somehow before in the middle of the shoot and they can't do it.
Don't even put that out there. You
I
can't lose Jackie.
know, I know, I know. But like this, it's one of those movies. Like, will the youth
Yeah.
remember Jackie Chan? Will they remember Police Story 4 or whatever?
Yeah.
And as a Jackie Chan fan myself, I did find myself getting swept in very invested in this story about a guy, an elder stuntman who is all about the practical effects, and he's losing his horse, and the estranged daughter comes in to represent him as a lawyer. It's just, Anatomy of a Fall is certainly a better film, but for me, it hit me in the feels, so that's why I'm picking right on as number five.
Well, get ready for my number four, and this is where my mainstream is going to show,
Sure, sure.
because it is an action extravaganza. I'm a sucker for that genre,
Yeah.
and when they do it right, they do it so right,
Oh
and that
yeah.
would be John Wick Chapter
Oh
Four.
yeah, yeah,
Yes, I'm putting John Wick on my best film list.
yeah. No, no,
Be-
I enjoyed John Wick 4.
I loved the heck out of it. It was a movie that, and that's the thing about the John Wick movies, where every film they up the ante, and that's crazy because the first movie does so much insane, the gun fu, and they change it, and
Yeah.
but you could tell that the people behind these movies are the former stuntmen that did all the choreography and did all that stuff. So there's a love there, and they always try to top themselves, and they totally do. There's
Yeah.
one sequence in John Wick Chapter 4, it's this kind of overhead, you know, um, shot, and it's taking place, well, seemingly in one take.
Oh yes, I know what you refer to.
Oh, that
And
was
that song is so killer when it kicks in. I love that scene.
yes. And it
Yeah.
was just like a moment in the cinema where I was like, this movie is amazing. And then there's all kinds of really fun characters, and I don't know. it was just a good time at the cinema. And if you're an action fan like me that loves it, this will make your list as well.
I agree. It really hits well. It syncs up nicely. It's definitely one that I think people have seen, but maybe they should watch again. I hear
Yeah.
maybe it's a good movie to watch on repeat while you're doing cardio. I don't know. Why not?
These are movies, and that's the thing about the John Wick movies. You can put them on at any time,
Yeah.
and just get sucked in. They're just pretty cool to watch.
Oh
I just
yeah. I
there's a it factor to these things. I just can't even explain it.
I got to interview. You remember the character who plays the Berlin nightclub owner?
Yes.
I interviewed that guy. His
Yeah.
name's Scott Atkins, and he's done a lot of Hong Kong movies. He's actually very fit. That's like a fat suit or whatever.
I love, and I was talking about these really cool characters.
Yeah,
He was the one I was referring to because
yeah,
that character was so great, but then you see
so
him in
good.
real life and you're like, what?
He's really
Um,
cut. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah, no, he's a great, and that's the thing. They always bring in like really cool stuntman. Who was the other one? There was he plays the blind. He's a
oh,
really
Donnie Yen. Yeah,
Donnie Yen. Yeah, how can I forget Donnie Yen
that's fine.
name? So yeah, great stuff.
Oh, and Donnie Yen in many ways is superior to John Wick.
Yeah,
He's and yeah, no, he's a phenomenal character because that's one thing. As like a critique, you could say, well, John Wick's just always going to win, and he's kind of the Superman of it. But no, he gets hit with the kryptonite with Donnie Yen for sure.
yeah, very cool.
So my number four is a Godzilla film. I'm a big Godzilla fan. I
Mm.
got this bad boy right here. This is
Whoa.
the Showa era Criterion Godzilla box set, and I love these movies. But these movies are also this is definitely like my soft spot favorite era for Godzilla. They're also very silly, and what I really loved about Godzilla minus one, my number four pick,
Yeah,
is how grounded it is in the human emotions.
yeah.
Because often it's like, oh, there's Rodan, there's King Ghidorah. Like, let's just kind of forget about everything going on back home. But this is a very real movie that deals with Japan during World War II. But basically, this is the first scene. It's really immediately post-war, and there was another incredible film that I saw at TIFF by Shida Tsukamoto called Shadow of Fire. Great, like post
Mm.
World War II movie, but you know it's harder to sell when you don't have the spectacle of Godzilla. And I like how invested you are. And also with Shin Godzilla, just Godzilla. We don't need like five monsters. We can just deal with one, and
Yeah.
the human ramifications of it.
Yeah.
Nobody like I do enjoy American Godzilla movies, but nobody does a kaiju like the Japanese.
No, no, absolutely. Yeah. Godzilla minus one, a late in the year release, and is just blowing anyone that watches it away.
Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't argue with how great this movie is. I think it's doing okay. I would call it a bit of an underrated movie at the box office. It does. I mean, I'm sure it's doing internationally really well. But
yeah,
you're right. For American audiences or North American audiences to discover something so rich with that Godzilla character is really cool.
absolutely.
All right. What are we at? We're at three.
We're at three. Yeah,
Ooh, we're getting close. Okay. This is one that I really liked and completely opposite from the action genre.
sure,
It actually kind of, I would say it falls in the comedy because I did laugh a lot, but also drama, right? Uh,
sure.
it's called The Holdovers.
Oh,
It's
I
called
love the holdovers.
the Holdovers
Yeah,
with you know, I'd always watch, old movies from like, the 70s, the 80s, and I'd be like, well, they don't make movies like this anymore. Guys, they make movies like this. And it's because it's set in I think it was set in the mid 70s. It's got this really great authentic feel,
oh yeah.
and it just feels like a movie that was made back then.
Hmm.
uh but everything's done so well. It's a great holiday film.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti is one of those actors that's like there's no one else like him, right?
Oh, totally.
He only Paul Giamatti can be Paul Giamatti. And it has another great actor, the young actor that plays a student, and yeah, I this is just an endearing, feel good, well made movie, just great stuff with the holdovers.
Oh, I totally agree. It's definitely the decrustification movie of the year. I really enjoyed seeing it in Toronto. It was a very small screening, though. They couldn't get a big theater for some reason. I think they wanted to
Yeah.
build the hype, and a lot of people didn't get in. But I was fortunate enough to see it in September, and I got to talk to the composer of that film, Mark Orton, and those those shorts are up on the channel. But yeah, he's a cool guy.
Very cool.
And Paul Giamatti, I think you're so right. Nobody looks like that. It's kind of like Steve Buscemi, you
That's
know.
right. There's only one of these guys,
Yeah,
and
and
thank
kind of
God they're
Adam Driver
actors.
to an extent too, even though it's a little
Mhm.
different. But they do look interesting, and they're very talented. If that's what matters at the end of the day.
I'm glad you interviewed the composer. I thought the music and all those and the score and everything involved with that film was such a great touch and
Yeah,
elevated everything. Because like I said, the period details and elements, it was really well done.
I agree completely. Like some of those zooms and everything, it definitely
Yeah,
feels like not too intense, but like it gets you
yeah,
into the nice '70s zone.
yeah, absolutely. A
Yeah,
lot of nostalgia there.
a lot of love, not making fun of it. And then my number three is Priscilla. I thoroughly enjoyed
Oh,
Priscilla
interesting.
by
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Sophia
did too.
Coppola. Yeah, and I what was it? I love Virgin Suicides, or no, I really like Virgin Suicides. I love Lost in Translation. That's the one I really like. But then
Hmm.
I missed a bunch. I didn't see Mary Antoinette. I didn't see The Blaine Rain. There's some ones I didn't see.
Oh,
The
boy.
Beguiled I did enjoy, but it was just kind of like just kind of
Yeah,
fine. Um, and then but it really gels. It really works for me in Priscilla. To me, this is like the worthy follow up to Lost in Translation. 20 years later. I really like how she goes for maybe minimal or vibes, and we're not looking at Elvis here. We had that last year. But I do prefer. I think I prefer Sofia Coppola as a filmmaker than Baz Luhrmann. I think this is the one to see. Like, yeah, the guy who plays Elvis isn't as good as Austin Butler. I get it, but to have this sort of this particular story as the focus, I think is very interesting. Sometimes I get a little sick of these. Like I said, Napoleon, it was okay. Like I get kind of sick of these biopics. Like we do like the equation is we do a movie about a great man, therefore we with all these competent people and all the parts are moving, therefore it's a great film. It's like I feel like people are just doing it for the awards at a certain point, and I kind of I get less. I'll watch them, but I'm less. I don't get that charge.
I think
But
you're right.
Priscilla was
Yeah,
worth it.
yeah. No, you nailed it because I think a lot, and I think that Napoleon, I felt the same way. I thought it was great and as a made movie, but I feel like they're just kind
Right.
of checking boxes, you know. Whereas Priscilla, they went. She does some really unique stuff, and I kind of liked the Elvis here, Jacob Elordi, I believe is his name. He's on Euphoria, even though he's a lot taller than Elvis was. I thought it didn't. I was worried. I was like, because Austin Butler did so great as Elvis, I'm like, oh well, if this actor's not good as Elvis, going to take me right out of it. But no, he wasn't. But the actress that played Priscilla throughout every part of Priscilla's life, I thought she nailed it so well. So yeah, that's a really fun one, and visually, fun as Sofia Coppola does.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, here we go. We're getting into the big guns here. I
Yeah.
actually, yeah, I was flipping back and forth as to what would my number one be, what would my number two, because either one could land in that top
Hmm.
spot. I will put Killers of the Flower Moon as my number two.
Cool.
You could, yeah. I love me some Scorsese. And this movie was pretty epic. We talked about what was it, Anatomy of a Fall being a longer movie. Well, my top two are pretty long, but
Right.
worth it. But worth it, and so well paced, and then the acting is amazing, and just everything you would expect out of a Martin Scorsese picture, you get it. Yeah, I was drawn in the whole time.
I'll just say, I feel like this is the best Scorsese since The Wolf of Wall Street, and I love me some Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, me too.
I really do enjoy silence. I'm not
Mm,
BSing. I really do enjoy it.
yeah.
The Irishman, I'm gonna say it's a little boring. It's really long. It's a little boring.
When I talk
I
about,
respected it, and I know every freaking guy is in it, and it's so cool that they did it again. But I can if it never happened, it would have been fine.
this movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, being well paced, I
Right.
wouldn't have said that about The Irishman, because I feel like the pacing was kind of, as you've said, kind of got a little boring at times.
It got
This
a
movie
little bit.
doesn't to me. I never got that lull, and just when I thought it was coming there, something happens to bring me back out of it, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on now?" And it's really well infused with tension and just, and it's not a feel good movie by any means. This is based in
No.
true life, and but it's eye opening in a lot of ways too. And yeah, I think if you haven't seen it, don't be afraid of it. But I think it's on Apple TV Plus I don't know if it is now. Regardless, so you could take breaks if you really wanted to.
Yeah. Okay, so my number two is called The Zone of Interest, and it's
Oh
started
yes.
its limited run, and I'm sure it'll come to Ottawa soon enough. Hopefully, the Bytown Cinema sometime in January. That'll be nice. This is a film by Jonathan Glazer, who doesn't really do many movies. He's actually kind of a shy guy. I did the red carpet for this film, and I got to talk to Christian Friedel, the lead of The Zone of Interest, who plays Rudolf Hess. And so here's this guy, he's top brass in the Nazi community, and it's based on this book by Martin Amis. I don't know how much of this is real, but apparently he had a summer where he was raising his family right beside the Auschwitz death camp. So it is a very
Yeah.
chilling contrast of kids playing, taking care of the garden, and then there's a building right beside it, and you know exactly what's going on. And to me, it's like a it's I talked to the lead about this. It's kind of a manifestation of the banality of evil, where evil is not, shining your horns in the morning. It's taking orders, and sometimes those orders are heinous. It's a very it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt to watch this. But I think it's really great. If you like, the Jonathan Glazer also made Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson, and Birth with Nicole Kidman, and his other film is Sexy Beast with Ben Kingsley, which is still my favorite film by his. But I thoroughly recommend The Zone of Interest.
Wow. I haven't seen this yet, and because we're starting to get all the nominations for like movies
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah. The Golden
and I'm
Globes got nominated for some stuff. Yeah,
yeah, no. So I'm pretty sure we'll see Zone of Interest land on a lot of nominations, and it's right there. It's funny. I get the screeners uh
ah,
for some of these for the being a member of the Critics' Choice. So
nice.
it's top of my pile to watch like now, like after this. Now
Yeah.
that it's near number two, I'm like, okay, well,
Oh,
what am I
bad
waiting
boom.
for?
Well, I'm
What am
glad
I
I
waiting for?
convinced someone to watch it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I can't wait.
All right,
All right, here we
moment of
go.
truth.
Oh, moment of truth. Yeah, well, you probably guessed it with my other hints about it being long. I'm going Oppenheimer
Ah, I
as
should
my
have.
number one.
Okay, yeah, okay, great.
Christopher, I'm such a Christopher Nolan like nut.
Yeah.
He can do no wrong in my eyes. He just makes movies that are geared towards everything that I love about movies. Like
Nice.
just yeah. And I thought Oppenheimer was another check on the list of amazing films that he put out this year. But I did have it neck and neck with Killers of the Flower Moon. Those two movies I thought were pretty epic with a capital E. But Oppenheimer, the performances, everything from the sound design to
Yeah.
it's classic Nolan. And what's crazy about it is that unlike things like Tenet or like his other movies of which have a lot of action and a lot of fast moving, this is just a dialogue heavy.
Right.
It's a lot of talking going on,
It's expressively done, but yes, it's men in
but
room talking.
he still manages to build up suspense. The bomb is gonna go off.
You're right.
They're gonna succeed, but you still have that suspense the whole way through. And Robert Downey Jr., if he does not get nominated for an Oscar, I don't know if he'll win, but if he doesn't get a nomination, I mean, man, I'll flip a table. No, Oppenheimer's my number one.
It's good, and I almost put it on my list, and I really really like it, and I'm so glad what it did for cinema. Barbenheimer, just
Yeah, and that's the other thing, the cultural um aspect
yeah.
with Oppenheimer and Barbie together, and just creating this event cinema.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
I thought that was also an added
it
bonus
was
to the
so much fun. The memes and people who
yeah.
do the double bill. It was great. It was fun. It was the cinematic event of the year.
Mhm.
If it's your favorite movie, that's even better. But it was the cinematic event of the year, no question.
Yeah.
So my number one's Killers of the Flower Moon. I withhold some comments. I really like where they went with this, kind of, because I know the original direction was just Leo was going to be the lawman. He's just
Yeah.
investigating, finding things out. But that's so easy. Like it's just like, well, there's obviously just one person behind all this. The idea, though, of uh, you having to hurt someone who you dearly love, and what that would do to you, and and that sort of psychological dilemma. That's what's really interesting. Also, I'm really glad to see a De Niro role where I'm excited again. You know, for the past, like, you know, everyone talks about like peak De Niro, but hey, there's been a lot of shitty De Niro movies. Let's just be honest. And for
Hmm.
me to see him be great again and sort of, I'm not expecting it like another 15-year run or he does all these crazy things like Reggie Bull, Once Upon a Time in America, down the list. We all know them, but seeing him slam was great. Also, it was shout out to Robbie Robertson, the final Scorsese Robbie Robertson collaboration, R.I.P. So that's
Hmm.
the Canadian
Yeah.
angle, I guess. There, I don't know. It's just like it's 3.5 hours, but it's not boring. If it was
Yeah.
3.5 hours and dull, I wouldn't put it on the list. But the fact I can be engaged for 3.5 hours, that's mwah, I love it. And I'm just um I'm just a Scorsese you know, simp, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's great. No, yeah, no qualms at all. Can I throw? You mentioned at the beginning I might have some
Yeah.
honorable mentions, and
Yes, do it. Go for it.
so I really don't have many. I just want to throw out. There's a movie called The Killer
Yeah, I
uh,
love the killer.
on Netflix.
Yeah, so good.
Uh, yeah, I thought that was really great. Michael Fassbender, a lot of tension. Yeah,
Uh
just well done. And then
so
the other one, I'm a big horror fan. So other than
yeah.
action, I mentioned being like an action movie kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
I'm also a horror guy.
Yeah.
So it's always fun for me to look back and like, okay, what was the best horror movie that I saw this year? Because I watch all of them, and there were some fun ones. I kind of I even like the silly ones like Megan. That's not on my list, by
Oh,
the way, but
Megan's
I'm just saying.
fun.
But they're just fun. They're fun to watch.
I
But
really
the
like
one
them.
this year, and oh, you were there in Montreal. We watched the
Yeah, talk to me.
Talk
Yeah.
to Me. That's the one I wanted to throw out as my honorable mention because I thought that one was really like insanely well done for like a
Yeah,
horror movie.
it's
And if you haven't,
phenomenal.
yeah, if you haven't seen Talk to Me, and I think it's
It's on Netflix.
A24. It is on Netflix now.
I think so. Am
Wow.
I
Okay, there you go.
hallucinating something? I
No,
think
no,
I'm
I don't know.
I probably shouldn't have put that out there.
It probably is. But yeah, it's A24's highest grossing like movie ever, and it's so
Damn.
great. Yeah, it's great.
All right, I'm gonna just rhyme off my my other top five. My number 10 is Divinity, a really cool movie I saw at Fantasia Fest.
Oh,
Padre
okay.
Pio is Shia LaBeouf playing this mystical priest for Abel Ferrero, who I got to interview. So excited about that. Love that guy. God is a Bullet by Nick Cassavetes. It's about satanic cultists having their way. It's very long. The Primevals, a film first announced in 1969, shot in 1994, and finished this year. Another Fantasia Fest movie, really
Oh,
good. And 100 Yards, my favorite
oh, yes.
like martial arts movie of the year for sure.
Yeah, I
Well,
totally.
I guess Right On is, but right underneath.
Yeah, those are cool. And I also, because I watch so many movies, I kind of get a little revenge at the end of the year for all those movies that wasted my time. And I'm sorry, I know people are like, "Oh, it's so mean. Don't we shouldn't do worse
Go for
movies."
it, go for it, go for it.
I have a few guys
Give us to them.
that took. There's a movie called the franchise called The Expendables.
Oh, I didn't see the fourth one. Is it bad?
It is so bad. It is so bad. There are green screen effects, and it's what boggles my mind about the Expendables is me being an action film lover. They've assembled this
The
amazing
best
cast
cast, yeah.
of action stars, and they waste them. It's wasted. But they do these green screen effects
Mm.
that are just like so laughable. It looks like something like you would see in like a high school,
Right,
high
sure.
school kids YouTube, but they probably do it better, to be honest.
They
And the
probably would.
whole end of the film takes place in like this dank, dark submarine. You can't see it. It's just a really weirdly done movie. The comedy doesn't hit. I think the performances are late. They waste everybody. They had Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent. I think he says like three lines the whole movie. It's just like, what's the point? So yeah, so don't waste your time with the Expendables. And then also, I don't know if I'm going to pinpoint just one, but the superhero genre is
Oh
falling
yeah,
off a
I
cliff.
know.
And just talk about being disappointed in like literally almost every superhero film. Because I used to get so excited to talk about event cinema. I used to
Yeah,
love going because it was just
it was popping.
they were great,
Yeah.
especially Marvel
Mm,
knocking them out of the park every
I
time. And now I can't even think of the last one that I truly enjoyed. Maybe Guardians 3 holds up, but otherwise, yeah.
okay.
Not a
Ouch.
good year for superheroes.
All right. Well, that's it. Until next year, my friend.
Yes, I always look forward to this. By the way,
Same
and
here.
so don't stop inviting me. I'm
Okay,
excited to join
good.
you.
All right, cool, man. Well, thanks so much. And where can people catch you?
Oh yes, absolutely. If you want more of my takes on the film reviews, it's on theflamingthumb.com. Yes, I give a flaming thumb rating out of 10. But I've also heard in the Ottawa area, I do my reviews on television, CTV Morning Live every Friday morning, and on CFRA Ottawa Now, Friday afternoons at 3:30.
Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks, Michael. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.